Okay, so in this section, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that we can do with complex numbers. The first thing is equality of complex numbers. Now, the first thing I need is to specify that that is a dash at the beginning of that first thing. That is not a negative sign. Okay, it's just the symboling that the PowerPoint picked up. So A plus BI is equal to C plus DI if and only if A equals C and B equals D. Now, this may seem logical. 3 plus 2i equals 3 plus 2i. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about here is when we get ready to start combining like terms, which is what we're going to be working with here, is that we're able to say that as long as, say, something like we had a 2 for A, but we had 1 plus 1 to make 2 over on the C part, that we're doing that the combination in there, okay? Now, we are going to look at addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Now, when we're doing this addition, subtraction, and multiplication, a lot of this is going to follow a lot of your kind of when you're working with just variable type stuff, okay? And it's going to be a lot of combining like terms and kind of following your math intuition that you have. So we're going to see this. A lot of this is they make it look very letter heavy and that there's all these kind of guidings on it. Really, it truly is just kind of following the guidelines of what you need to do here, okay? So we're going to look at a couple of examples here. I'm going to go ahead and get these up on my board over here, and then I'll switch over. So we've got 5 minus 2i plus 3 plus 3i. Now, the parentheses here are not being used as like PEMDAS or order of operation stuff. They are used here solely to show you here is a complex number, the 5 minus 2i. And then the other complex number, 3 plus 3i, is the other one that we are messing with, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and get the subtraction one written down as well. So here we go. Now, again, I mentioned that these are not being used as grouping symbols, so therefore we can drop them when we get ready to do our math. And now we're just going to combine like terms. So I've got a 5 and a 3 makes 8. I've got a minus 2i and a positive 3i. Think of them the same way you would as x's. That leaves me with 1i or 1x. You could also write this without the 1 in front of that because that 1 would be an understood thing. Now, for the subtraction, this is where use of the parentheses is helpful because we are going to want to distribute that negative to make sure that we're subtracting everything. And that minus is going to turn into plus. And again, we're just combining like terms. So I have 2 and a minus 12. So that's negative 10. I've got 6i plus 1i is 7i. Okay. So again, it makes it look very alphabet heavy and stuff like that. It really is following instinct and it's more like combining like terms. Now, let's take a look at the multiplication ones. Okay. And so we have the first example is 7i against 2 minus 9i. Now, following a math instinct, this feels like we should distribute, and that is exactly what we're going to do. So I've got 7i times 2, and again, treating that i the same way you would an x. This is going to be 14 with an I. And then I've got 7i times that minus 9i, so it's going to be negative 63i squared. Now, I mentioned in that previous video that we do not leave I squared in an answer. I squared has a value of negative 1. So we're going to change that out for a negative 1. And I have negative is going to make positive. And then they are going to want this in that traditional A plus BI format, which just means that they want the non-I piece first and then the I piece. So we'll have 63, which was positive. The 14i was also positive. So there is our response for that one. Okay. So looking at one more, which would be an actual full complex number. So a 2-piece full complex number against another 2-piece full complex number. This is, you may have called it FOIL, you may have called it double distribution. There's lots of different things, but the concept here is we need to multiply all these together. So I've got 5 times 6 which is going to be 30. 5 times that negative 7i, so negative 35i. 4i times 6, so that's going to be plus 24i. And then 4i times the negative 7i, so that'll be negative 28i squared. Again, we'll be changing that out here in just a second. I am going to go ahead and combine these two. So I've got 30 minus 11i minus 28i squared. I am going to go ahead and trade that I squared for a negative 1. So I have 30 minus 11i plus 28. We'll combine these two. So it's going to be 58 minus 11i. And there is our final response for that one.